Alright, welcome back to Beam Mother Reviews, everyone. Today we're going to take a look at this Moonstone statue from House of Gog. Now if you're sitting there wondering who are House of Gog and what is a Moonstone, well, don't worry, that's okay, because this is actually the company's very first ever statue release. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the background of the statue, how it came to be made, which is actually kind of a neat little story, and then we're going to jump into our regular review topics: sculpt and design, paint, production and build quality, and then hopefully after all of that, you know exactly who House of Gog are. So let's get in the review right now. Alright, so House of Gog, who are they? Where did they come from? Well, it's actually a Canadian-based company based out of Montreal, Quebec. And it was founded by two good old Canadian boys. First of all, we've got Hugues Martel, and Hugues is actually also a member of the Pure Arts team. Now, you may have heard of Pure Arts. They've been around for a long time, manufacturing collectibles, statues, figures, and the like for many, many years. So there's lots of experience coming from the Pure Arts side of things. And then we've got kind of the face of the company, Paix L'Espérance, and French Canadian, as you might have guessed. I'm not French Canadian, so I'm going to use the English pronunciation, and I'm going to call him PA for the rest of this video. And PA worked for Ubisoft, and you may have heard of Ubisoft, a video game developer, but he actually worked in the collectibles development side of things for that business. So even though House of Gog is a very new company, they were founded in late 2018, about a year ago, there's lots of experience behind its two co-founders, so they know what they're doing when it comes to collectibles. Now, PA, child of the 80s, self-professed nerd, like myself, probably like yourself as well watching this video. Loves everything pop culture, loves artwork, and one day came across this magnificent cover to Heavy Metal magazine, number 270. It just so happened to feature the character you see here, Moonstone. Now that artwork is done by another Canadian named Pascal Blanché, another French Canadian as well. And one day, in a moment of true serendipity, PA realizes that Pascal Blanché, the heavy metal artist, and Pascal Blanché, the co-worker down the hall at Ubisoft, are the same guy. Worlds collide, planets align, and Hugues and PA go to Pascal and tell him, we're going to make your art into statues and there's nothing you can do about it. So they convinced Pascal to get on board, and the rest, as they say, is history. And now we've got the statue here a little over a year later, as I said. Now, Moonstone, who is she? What's her deal? Well, they developed a little bit of a background story for the character through the production process for the statue. Moonstone, she's a member of the Moon clan, who are this ancient protectors of the sacred temples on this world called Derelict Planet. Now, Moonstone, when she was younger, went away from home to complete her ancestral training, and when she comes back, nobody's there. All of her people are gone, they're wiped out, and evil has been unleashed on the world, so she is now the last of her kind. She transforms herself into the demon hunter that's charged with protecting the planet that she lives on. So the story, that's about all we've got. It's kind of intentionally left a little bit vague. They want you to fill in the blanks around it with your imagination and come up with your own unique story for Moonstone. So that's kind of a neat thing about this statue here. All right, so that's the background. I think it's actually kind of a cool story how this statue came to be. But we're going to jump into the review now, and we're going to start with sculpt and design next. Alright, so last segment I mentioned that this statue is based on the art of Pascal Blanché, who himself is a very accomplished 3D artist. Now I admit I was not familiar with his work prior to seeing this statue, but he's very active on Instagram and Twitter and his ArtStation, and kind of shows a bit of his process. And this particular piece, the cover that he did for Heavy Metal, starts off with a 3D model that he made in ZBrush. And then he renders out a key shot and then does some more in Photoshop. So it's kind of these blended techniques that he uses to give his artwork this extremely unique look. A lot of his work is very, very cool, so go check out his channels as well. But so anyways, at the base of it all is a 3D model. So that is what the team at House of Gog started with. The actual base model straight from the artist. Now, Hughes and his team with the Pure Arts team had to kind of refine that a little bit and turn it into something that could be produced into a statue that you see here. So anyways, all that to say, it doesn't really get much more accurate to the source art than this piece right here, because it is the source art. The sculpt itself, I mean, very, very detailed. You look at the base and you can see all these, you know, spare motors and engines. You got tubes and all kinds of weird stuff all over the place. You got skulls. And you can see this one here by her foot. She's kind of stepped in it and like smashed part of it to bits. You really get the sense that this is a lost world, that this is almost like a Mad Max type feel I get from this base. So it really sets the stage, I believe. And then you look at Moonstone herself, and I mentioned she had the nickname the Demon Hunter. And we all know that if you're going to go hunt demons, there's no better way to do it than in a pair of high tops and a bikini. And she does that perfectly here. So obviously Moonstone, she's showing a lot of skin here. She's got kind of a stylized figure, but it looks really cool, I think. I like how she has some kind of subtle definition in her ab area. Looks very, very cool. And if you look under the mask, she's actually got a pretty nice face under there. Makes me kind of wish that there was an unmasked head that we could put on the statue, because, as I said, very pretty face under there. She's kind of puckering her lips a little bit. But I really like the pose of this piece. She looks calm, she looks in control, and I kind of envision her standing atop a mountain or a hill somewhere and kind of surveying the land, looking for her next demon victim. So very cool piece, as I said. Lots of subtle details here and there. I like the high top shoes. The laces are all sculpted there. And you turn her around, you look at her backpack. It's actually modeled after the engine of a Guzzi motorcycle, which is kind of neat. But her backpack, what does it do? We don't know. That's kind of, again, sort of the beauty of this piece. Does it help her fly? Does it help her jump long distances? Does it power her weapons? Or maybe she needs it to breathe. We don't know. It's whatever you want it to be, which is the best part about it, I think. It also looks kind of cool, as you see here. And you see her helmet. It's probably the feature of the whole piece, is this skull that she wears over her face with these huge antlers. You can see the spine trailing off the back. I mean, this is someone that you don't want to mess with. She's an experienced hunter. She's got this massive weapon in front of her, some kind of rocket launcher, it looks like, or maybe it's a flamethrower. I mean, we don't know. As I said, we don't know what it is. All that comes together and gives you one of the most unique statues that I've ever reviewed. Moonstone from House of Gog. Really, really cool sculpt here. Alright, so let's move on to paint for this statue, and as you can see, the paint job on this piece is very unique. Again, they wanted to stick as close to the source art as they possibly can. When you look back at that, there's basically only 3 colors used on that. You got the green, you got the blue, and then you've got this orange that they use to kind of bring out the detail on the piece. The orange also, for me, gives it this sort of dusty, dirty, windswept, desert type feel to it, and really helps, again, sort of set the stage for this derelict planet from which she comes. Now, as I said, the orange brings out the detail in the piece. There's a lot of details we went through last segment, the motors on her back and her backpack, and then all around the base as well. The green, the colors on this really pop, and only using these few colors, I think, and making it look good would be a major challenge, I think. And I think they pulled it off pretty good. It matches the source art pretty close, and really an eye-catching piece. The paint job is very clean too. Really, there's no lines or colors outside of where they should be. There's subtle shading in there. It helps bring out the tones in her body, on her face as well. Her eyes are painted yellow and you can sort of see them through the mask there. So overall, I think the paint job, it's very clean, it closely matches the source art, and it really, really pops, as I said. So paint job is a success for this piece, in my opinion. All right, so before we move on to production and build quality for the statue, I want to mention some of the switch outs and accessories that it comes with. Now, first of all, and this is pretty cool, you get this extra display stand that with the piece, so you can put all your extra parts on this, including a switch out head and the extra weapon parts. So that is really cool because, you know, some companies are starting to do this, give you that extra display stand. I wish everyone would do that because, you know, these extra pieces, they're just as much part of the statue as whatever you have on it at that time. But what's really cool, as I said, is you display these extra parts for her gun as well. So all your extra parts are accessible easily for you. So you can turn her gun into sort of a harpoon style of weapon. And you drop this end piece here in, and it just connects with a magnet. And then you can swap out the head here. Now this head here is kind of cool, was developed exclusively for the statue as a switch out part. It was designed by Pascal, so it fits the theme of Moonstone, that derelict planet world that she comes from. But this helmet is called the Blade Master. So I'm going to show you what that looks like on the statue next segment. But first of all, you do get one other accessory, and that is the moon. So on the cover of Heavy Metal, she's standing in front of this orange moon, and you get that so you can more faithfully recreate the cover. And it comes with its own stand, and you kind of set in behind the statue there. And then this just slides down on top, just like that. So, one thing I will caution you about is this stand. You know, it is a little bit wobbly. So make sure you put it on a nice secure table or shelf, somewhere that you're not going to run into it and knock it over. You may even want to put some museum putty or something under that base of the stand just to make sure it doesn't fall over. I just have this terrible vision of this thing falling over and breaking a piece off of your statue or something. So anyways, it does give you a very cool display, very accurate to the source art, as I said. But just watch that moon and make sure it doesn't tip over, as I said. So there you go. There you have it. Some pretty cool switch outs for this piece. Let's move on to production and build quality right now. All right, so as I showed you last segment, we've got the Blade Master helmet, and it just slots into the top of her neck there, top of her body, and it attaches with a magnet, and we can go full Blade Master mode here with this display option. All right, production and build quality on this statue. Let's start off with the box, and you can see it back here on the shelf behind me. Very cool box art. I have to give the House of Gog a lot of credit for that. I know they put a lot of time and effort into developing this box, and it does look really, really cool. So as soon as you open up the piece, you're kind of wowed with how much effort they've put into this piece. Now, inside the box, you do get a few goodies. First of all, you do get an assembly guide for the piece, and they kind of describe step by step how to set up the piece, and they've labeled all the pieces there, and they show you the two different display options here on the back. So I don't think you're going to have too much trouble putting this piece together, but just in case, you do have that guide there. It also comes with a certificate of authenticity. You can see it's hand signed by PA and also used co-founders of House of Gog, and it's numbered as well, and it matches the edition number on the base of your statue. You also get this, it's kind of like a metal credit card type thing, and this has the number 001 on it, and it's got the Pascal Blanché logo there as well. And this is not the number of your statue, it's the number of the statue in the series. So this is House of Gog's first statue, so you got the number 001. And the next piece in the line, which is set to be revealed, I think, quite soon, is going to be 002 and so on. So you'll probably get another one of those with the next piece. Now finally, you get a little mini print of the Moonstone artwork, and it's very nicely done. It's a stiff sort of cardstock that it's on. I think that would look great displayed beside your statue there. So some nice goodies inside the box, and a very nice box as well, as I said. Now moving on to the statue, the quality of the piece. You take one look at this piece and you can see that it's very ambitious. I mean, this is their very first statue, and they had lots of experience behind them, but even that said, it's a very intricate, delicate production, and this piece has a lot of small parts on it that can break off. You have to be very careful handling it, and there's really no beating around the bush. It's a fragile piece. Now they've done some things to help sort of mitigate that potential breakage. They've made some of the parts a more flexible resin. You can see, like, the tubes on the back of her helmet there, flexible. The straps are a little bit flexible there. Some of these tubes on the base, you'll notice they got a little bit of wiggle to them. Now, I say that they're flexible, but they're not bendable. This isn't PVC, it's still resin material, so don't try to bend it because it will break. But that said, fragility aside, I think they did a pretty nice job with this piece. The fact that it got to me in one piece is impressive. Again, the intricacy of it, all the little parts that would have had to been molded and cast and then assembled together. It's a complex piece, and you can tell and appreciate that just by looking at it. So overall, the whole presentation from House of Gog, I think, is really, really top notch. As I mentioned, the packaging, the extras, the print, and then, the overall quality of the piece. It's got a nice weight to it. The pieces fit together nicely. You get the extra display stand that I showed you earlier. So, they've kind of checked off a lot of boxes here with their first release. And I think the production quality is pretty good for this one. All right, we're going to wrap up this review here of Moonstone, the debut statue of House of Gog. And I mentioned this piece comes directly from the source art of Pascal Blanché, who created the character. And so that the accuracy to that heavy metal 270 cover is about as good as it's ever going to get, because this basically is the cover right here in front of your eyes. All kinds of intricate details, from the scrap heap of spare engine parts beneath her feet to the skulls on the base, this cool backpack that's built out of motorcycle engines. You got two really cool helmet options, including this Blade Master design that was developed exclusively for the statue. So great sculpt overall. Love the design. The paint, very unique as well. You got this bright green and bright blue that really grabs your attention and pops off the statue. And you got the orange that helps bring out all the detail and give it this dusty, dirty, kind of desolate feel to help set the stage for the world that she lives in. And speaking of that, they developed a little bit of a background for the character. But one of the beautiful things about this piece is they've left that a little bit vague. They've given you enough to spark your imagination, but I asked off the top, who or what is Moonstone? Well, Moonstone is whatever you want her to be, and that, as I said, is part of the beauty of the piece. Production quality, I think, overall is pretty good. It's a very intricate, very delicate piece, so you got to be careful with it, but they've helped mitigate potential damage by using different materials and things throughout. I really love the presentation. It's got great box art. You get the print, you get the extra display stand, you get the moon stand that you can put behind it to really help further recreate the source art. So House of Gog has done a lot of nice things with this piece. For a debut piece, I think they've done truly an amazing job. And I have to give thanks to PA, who really helped me out putting together this review, answering all my questions as I was preparing. You can really feel his passion and enthusiasm coming through the phone right at you. It really kind of got me jacked up to do this review. So PA, thanks for your help. House of Gog, with that kind of dedication behind them, I think it's just onward and upward from here. So great job from them. I'm really excited to see the next in the Pascal Blanché series, which is set to debut, I think, very soon. So keep an eye on House of Gog, Instagram, Facebook, and all that for their next reveal. And I hope you enjoyed the review. As always, stay tuned to the channel. There's always more to come, so we'll talk to you guys soon.